always say, Tom, it is better to have these pauses at the start of the game, right, before players really get into the swing of things. It's only a pistol gone, so let's not see one, you know, 10 rounds in. That's where
Mouse.
So I'm gonna assume that everything is all good. No problems for anybody at this stage, and that's always good news. Like, if it's only the pistol round, whatever. And, well, now, going into this one, as expected, not going to be a massive investment. I'm happy to see that Safe is still sticking around on that duelist. I will be honest, when I saw Trex coming into the fray, I was thinking, oh, okay, he's probably going to go back to his Sentinel. Trex will take the duelist role, and we'll get back to a similar style to what we saw, but maybe with a stronger Jet. Instead, Safe has pretty much just gone straight into the Jet role that he was playing a little bit before, and he looks incredibly good on it. Now, I will say that in terms of the man facing off against him, I think so far out of all the teams they played against, this is the toughest Jet opposition he's had.
Yeah, I think I'd be right there with you, and we'll see how those battles will start to evolve. Sander really wants to peek that. He's going to be spotted by the drone. They start to now make their way out, but right into the hands of Rams. And he's going to stop any sort of trading from coming down as the spike falls, as Snakebite lands inside that orb, and it is pretty much done before it even starts. They've got all their bases covered. They know that trap wire was destroyed inside of halls. They know exactly where Cordamenta is going to be playing, and so Safe is all alone to try clutch this out. Really clean by Vitality so far. And they have the opportunity to walk out of this one without losing a single rifle. Those two players that are close, though, are one hit to the body by Safe. So this is a little bit dangerous.
Yeah, he's also kind of one hit to anything. Although if he's just going to no-scope them out of the server, it might not matter so much. Sender is there to close it. And a relatively clean 2-0 start for Vitality. Now, as we sort of already mentioned, you're looking realistically for a fairly convincing attacker side from either of these teams. And although this was the pick of Vitality, it's worth noting that this is one of the maps that has been played by their opposition in Guild. Like, this wasn't a punish pick. I believe that the matches that they've actually played, like the teams they've been up against on this map, have been some of the better ones as well for Guild. Like, that they played this map versus Rebels, won it 13-9, played it versus 10-star, won it 13-10. So it's not like we're looking at some of those early qualifier teams where they've just kind of run over them in the meantime while trying to get through, and they would have 13-0'd them anyway. Or one of the maps, I think early on again, where we saw Russ playing a Cypher and they were just having some fun. Like, it was much more of like a competitive matchup, and they've managed to win it both times. So it sort of links back to what we saw in the Shadow interview, where he was sort of saying, okay, we can play every map, but when we're going for our choices, it's what we're most confident on. So maybe someone can try and work out the trend there, but I'm happy with the fact that, at least for Vitality, considering this is a new iteration of a team, considering the previous iterations weren't exactly as good as they should have been, the fact that they already have Fracture and Breeze within their map pool, which we sort of said it previously, it's quite rare, to be honest, that a team will have both of those as confident map picks. That's a really good early sign for this roster.
Yeah, having that little bit of extra depth in the early stages definitely shows you that they're focused in, they have a clear game plan, and they want to put other teams on the back foot. And it's great when you come into a veto and you have these weird picks. You force your opponents from step one of the veto system, of the series beginning. They're already on the back foot. They're already feeling uncomfortable. And it's, if you can make them adapt to your game, you're already winning. In that sense. Another tech pause here, and this one's going to be called by Guild again. Looks like they're having some mechanical issues, but I'll be jumping back in a little bit. And again, early stages of the game, it's not too bad. We're coming into round 3, though. This is definitely where they want to have things ironed out. Of course, they're going to be playing with rifles coming into this one, and I'm a little bit curious, you know, on this attack so far. We're not obviously getting to see anything, but when these rifles come out, and in particular, when Safe gets an operator, which won't be this round, it'll be like the next buy round, so we could be looking at kind of 4-0, 5-0 to Vitality before anything really comes out in that department. I want to see what the plan is when Safe is just playing that entry, when he's dashing in and opening the space, because I feel like that's almost immediately going to be a faster round coming into this one. And from what we've seen of most teams, those fast rounds tend to be the A side.
Yeah, I think that was always one of the sort of issues with this map in general, is that there were a lot of very favorable duels for the attackers going into that A site. Like, if you wanted to play around the pyramids defensively, you had to be in quite an open angle, and almost had to be a jet, otherwise you couldn't get out of there in time. So that's one of the main changes that I think I've actually really enjoyed with just playing a little bit of this map now, is that it doesn't favor the attacker so much just because of the changes to the walls and the gaps that are available. I also think it is the box gone as well. You can't wall bang it. So there's a lot more opportunities to actually play that site defensively. So obviously that's going to come in a little bit later for this qualifier. We're still stuck on this breeze, but obviously for the teams, if the map changed out that quickly, it would be a little bit harsh for all of the practice they've done. Like all of those Christmases, all of those New Year's would have been wasted for nothing. Barber would be furious.
That he would. He'd still view them as an underdog. I guess
you're always an underdog. You're never disappointed. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Set the bar for yourself low. That's what I like.
That's what I do in life, just in general.
That's my life.
I have a very low bar. I've already succeeded more than I thought I would. I'm doing fantastic.
I had to stop disappointing people, so I stopped making promises.
Exactly. There you go. My parents can't be disappointed in me. I'm already disappointed in myself.
Oh, this is great information for Sender. He knows there's a player close. And there's the peek, the punish, the safe goes down. The jet entry no longer there to play with. B-side's completely open, but Sender knows they haven't pushed in. That trap wire gone, information to be found, cage up to delay, and he's letting his teammates rotate in. Sender still wants the pressure towards Halls.
Yeah, it was very risky running in there, but it's because he wanted the neuro theft. He wanted that information for his team so that they could go for that risky rotation in a round where they almost have to take a gamble. He's still fighting with 5 HP and a rifle. Like, normally I'd be screaming for him to give it over to a teammate, but already managing to give a 2-man advantage over to Vitality in their bonus, Guild need to fight back.
Look at Kata up close as well. He's dashed on out. That's not an ideal fight. They need to take Trex down. He's got prime real estate to deny any sort of diffuse going down, and this round is now just falling apart. Great play by Trex, making up for some earlier mistakes, and now this round is locked in indeed. With Shadow soon to fall and put 2-1 on the board. Well handled by Guild, a round that they're expected to win, although they get a little bit dicey with Sender's big performance.
But that is the thing. I think if Trex doesn't play that as well as he did, like using his cages almost perfectly, then yeah, they probably lose this round because the rest of the players are going to be completely surrounded. Instead, it gave some isolated duels, Russ winning his as well. So yeah, it recovered, and for Guild having 3 players alive, that's sort of the norm. It's just the mana that was a little bit worrying. Now we get into the meat of things, though, because this is where we're likely to have a much better purchase coming out from that defensive side. Cadaver already going to have his operator in play, so actually it's going to be a pace change. Very fast take on him from Guild.
Right on into the side, exactly like I was saying a couple of rounds ago. You know, when we talked about Safe with the rifles in his hand, or last round even, during that the tech pause. You look at Safe when he's not playing that operator, he's got to be opening the space, dashing on in. They just pop a wall B, dash into the side, got control. Normally you'll see it on the A side. A lot of teams like to pressure on this attack, but Guild are already showing us a very successful B take with a 5v4 retake. And Coldamenta, he's using the wall. He's crept up behind Brams. That is a brainy play.
That's as free as it gets. Russ screwed. Good flash. Kata already finding another one. Shadow's got the biggest crosshair known to mankind. Can he find a headshot with it? No, he can't. Maybe try a smaller one. Leo will give that advantage back, and for the remainder of Vitality, it is forced into a save. Still, again, it got a little bit more dangerous than I expected it to. It was looking very clean initially for Guild, but the fact is they're getting these afterplants early enough that Vitality have to rush through a lot of the things that I think they want to be taking more time with. And I do expect there's going to have to be an adaptation now for Vitality, because that's a couple of rounds where it's been a fairly simplistic B-site burst, and they haven't really had anyone there to defend it.
Very true. We saw it. It was a feature, I thought, of one of the rounds where Sender pushed up through elbow. The fact that they wanted to fight that side. They were gambling heavy on A, as we'd mentioned. Guild were likely, with Safe playing entry jet, to go to the A site. That's the preference of most teams, irrespective of the round. So when you look at Sender's spot, then it was fine. But now that it's being punished so early into the game, in a bye round, you start to get a little bit worried. That's an adjustment that has to be made coming into the next. And then that's something for Guild to play off of. They know now that the B hold's going to be weaker. Coming into this round, they're just up against pistols for the most part. But, I mean, that operator in the hands of Cadavra can do a lot of damage. And with already a couple of kills going their way, all of a sudden they're favored to win this. Cat has been taken down. Sender still has a rifle, and you cannot count this man out when he's got a rifle in his hand.
Yeah, he's been excellent so far, but, well, the shot that Vac just hit was truly grotesque. Unfortunately,
One enemy remaining.
Himself much. He's going to be safe already, dropping Sender, and now, well, sorry, Shadow is going to be the one looking to lock in. Finds himself a rifle. Clearly that crosshair can hit headshots, and now he just needs one more, but Safe will be there to clutch it out. Guild have their third onto the board. And well, it may have only been some pistols for Vitality, so that means they're going to come in with a buy, right?
Means they should be pretty stacked up. Yeah, when you look at where it was 3 sheriffs, an operator, and a rifle. A strange scenario for them, but it's so nearly worked out. Now able to get the comfortable buy, rifles, utility, full shields on everybody. And the best part about this is there's the solution to their B-hold. Browns has got his ultimate.
Like he's going to use it early. That's one of the normal ways to play this, is to basically just ult almost instantly and try and lock it down. Trex, I think he's just been owned there. Like, it was his teammate pushed in initially, and he's just found instead Coldamenter's actually going to be the one to use his ult to lock down the site. The Viper's Pit will give them a free plant and make this retake fairly difficult, especially with no ultimates available for Vitality. They're hoping for a little bit of luck.
Shock Dart's going to go through and not really find them anything. Luck definitely not on their side to start with. And yeah, Bram's using his orb to defend. Worked well. He managed to get a kill, slow down the push. But ultimately, you know, he wanted to use that ulti then if they did push in for retake or something like that. But that has not worked out. And now they almost have no chance for Vitality getting in through this kind of Viper utility. The players that Guild had to the advantage as well. There was virtually no way for this one to work out. You had to drop Coldamenta, and he's just been hiding.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Coldamenta has to be given quite a lot of credit for a lot of these rounds, because the call that he's made for these fast B hits is definitely a bold one. Like, if there's a couple of players there's some decently placed Viper utility, they could easily get caught out. Instead, they managed to find the openers both times, relatively easy, or just get a free plant. And then their after plants have looked stellar. Sure, trading back at a few players here and there, but not really too many issues for, well, what is a map choice of Vitality, one that we're expecting them to perform well. Like, your first choice in a best of 5 is normally one that is going to be your most confident. So the fact that they've come back from a 2-0 deficit, 4-2 up, and again, it's back to pistols and a solo rifle for Vac.
Definitely a scrappy buy. For a second, it looked like they were going to invest a little bit more being back on just that single Vandal. And when you look at the B side, look, there's going to be some sound hurt. Brams might pop his ulti, but he's playing with a Sheriff. And then that completely changes my mind. Man's got a Ghost, sure, but you're not going to play inside a Viper's Pit with this. They'll fire back at the Tracers and take you easily. So he's instead going to dance around the site. He completely caught off. They're still managing to trade a lot of these kills, but the problem is surprise factor for Sender, Hunter's Fury then on the follow-up. Now they've got to take heads-up aim duels against these rifles, and that's where things completely fall apart, especially with Vac going down.
Yeah, it's left onto Shadow.
No chance.
Nice shot onto the first. Second player was a little bit tagged up, but he won't get anything more there. Again, making these rounds costly. Like, Guild definitely don't have as an insane economy as they probably should do for a team that has just won 5 rounds in a row, because it's mostly been 2 or 3 players surviving for Guild in a lot of these rounds. The fact is, though, I am starting to worry a little bit for the defense, because it has just been B hit after B hit. They had to invest a Hunter's Fury in that one to really get anything done, and whoa, Guild are starting to run away with this.
Yeah, it is the attack side, though, right? They're clearly feeling comfortable to start with, and I sort of have to hold on to faith that Vitality will find their footing here on the defense. They still have time to work with, and they still have plenty of ultimates. That's the thing. They haven't used this Viper's Pit, and that can be a huge turning point for them. The problem for me really is that Guild still have a lot of cash. And so if Vitality get this one round by dumping in ultis, they use a Viper's Pit, they use a Blade Storm, although they've got the ops, so they might not need it. But even the null command, there could be some impactful ultimates that then they won't have coming into the next round. And with Hunter's Fury already used up in the previous when they had the pistols, things start to look pretty grim then. If you're thinking about them stopping Guild at 6-7 rounds, I imagine things could go even further for this attack. It's definitely starting to get scary for the defenders.
Is this really a Guild timeout?
It's a long time out, isn't it?
What is it like? You've just won 5 rounds in a row, and you're like, you know what? We need a pause. Like, I think we need to breathe. It might just be one of those scenarios though, where they know how dominant this attack side's meant to be, and just the few players they've lost, they're like, okay, let's make sure that we're as dominant as we need to be. And oh, that's not gone well for Sender. Kata actually dashes into that. He goes to try and fight it. Well, there's a second player just waiting, watching. It must be a little bit bemused as how easy that kill was. Again, this B site, well, it's just a B site retake simulator at the moment. The Seekers have shown that all the remaining players are on the other side of the map as well. So it's already over. We're done with round number 8.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much locked in. That spike ticking away. You can clearly see Vitality are attempting a save, but Guild are right on top of them. They are looking to take them down and not let them away with anything. Already Trex is going to be dropped and found trying to hunt them down. They don't know. The shadow is right down below. Doors open. Honestly, this is starting to look good for Vitality, where they're getting a lot of info on these Guild players hunting them down. They could end up dropping some of these attacker rifles. And, you know, I was complimenting Guild's economy, but if they end up dropping, you know, all the rifles on these hunts, it could get a little bit shaky for them. That's it. They're already looking at 6-2, so I suppose they're not too worried.
Oh, I guess the thing as well is it would be much, much worse for Vitality if they were to lose all of these guns. Because then, again, they'd just be back to pistols once again. I don't mind trading out a couple of players here and there. I agree. If they lost everyone, it would have been a bit of an oversight. But not overextending. There has to be an adaptation here to this B site. And that's the thing. Then it comes down to mind games. Because if you're Coldamenta, you're just starting to think, okay, when do I now change? When do I change what we're doing? And if you're looking at the current positions of all of the Guild players, I'm guessing it's right now. We have seen a change in personnel, at least, over on this B site. Like, Vac has opted to try and take it. He's got himself one of the rifles, so that's probably the reason why. But realistically, it is still just going to be mostly leaning into this A site.
At Hunter's Fury, it's already found the first. We might not be a big fan of those super early round Hunter's Furies, but at least there has been a connection for it. Vitality
Get out of my way.
being on the back foot pretty much every step of the way. And now with Cadavra taking the Blade Storm, but Sanders still on a pistol and 45 health. Not looking any better to start this one off. A B side only has 1 defender, Tom, and I mean, look at this. Sure, Vitality are starting to push up on A. A little bit late. They might be able to catch Coldamenta, but on the B side, it's only Vac to defend, and nobody is anywhere close. He has to hold on, and he's already 24 health.
Oh, saves going up above, just trying to hunt him down. There has been a kill on the other side, but it's going to be back to fall. Sure, the knives are gone, but there's still an operator in play. Now, the rest of the team not really able to cross right now. The flash will at least grant them a path, but already the remaining players are rotating through. Now, one has been caught on the flank. I believe that's Kata, and so they know at least that he's coming in from behind, and they need something here from Shadow, but he gets nothing as well. Trex just trading out too, and again, putting this in a really horrible spot. He'll finally get dropped, and the spike hasn't yet gone down, but they've already got the remaining kills anyway. It's another round for Guild.
7-2, man. This is what I was saying. You know, the thought of even stopping Guild at 6 or 7, it was looking unlikely that that would be possible, and it was the best case scenario. Now Vitality still with some of those ultis to play with that we had talked about before, still bringing out that operator on Cadavra, but we're looking at this being pretty much the last chance for a salvageable half. If Vitality lose out on this round, and I'm assuming they'll commit their ultis to it, although I look at Brams, my man's bought a Vandal. He's bought a Vandal.
He's going for those headshots.
He played. No, he played. I just want to be very clear. He played with a Phantom every other round. He has bought a Vandal, and now he
does more damage. You know, like easier to get kills in the pit. All right, that's what you're
fine.
thinking.
I'm fine with that. I'm so fine with that. It's okay.
Look how far Russ has already got. Like the drone's gonna go past, but that's the thing. It spots the player close, but they have no idea that he's already gone through. That is such an oversight. He should not be able to get this far without anybody realizing that this is starting to look very, very shaky. for Vitality. Okay, Shadow will eventually peek and take down Safe, and they still have that Viper's Pit. Timing's everything, and Brams will win the duel. It's turned the round at least into their favor, and with Kata pushing aggressively, that'll be the spike down and another dropped.
Well, this round for Vitality seems to be going quite well. They've got the spike yet again, and Trex, despite having what would be a pretty good position most of the time, is going to have to play back into his own spawn to get that spike back. He's about to be spotted. Whoops, not going to be spotted. Okay. But he'll walk right into the operator of Kata. If it's still looking his way, he's in a lot of trouble. Oh, no, that's an awkward fight. And now he'll be executed from behind as well.
Actually, Shadow will close it out. Like, it's a decent recovery from Vitality, but I'm still fairly uncomfortable with how far Russ managed to get without anybody spotting him. Like, as said, like, Shadow managing to find a couple of trades, some decent timing on his peak with no one watching into the nest. It works out, and that's all Vitality can really hope for. And as we sort of mentioned, like, I think if you get 4 rounds on the defense, it's very much still workable. Like, we've seen so many comebacks at this point on the attacking side. I think the Vitality have an incredibly strong attack as well. So, again, not so worried about that. But just the amount of space that Guild have been able to take almost for free in a lot of rounds now, like with early B-side executions, mid-takes that get them a split in as well. It is very scary with how things have gone.
That is an interesting Viper's Pit. Sender's already behind it, and he's taking a double. This is absolutely ridiculous. Guild trying to fight their way into mid. I don't think I've ever seen that pit before. And Sender has just aced the round, slapping them down and putting Vitality on 4. They desperately needed a round, and what a way to find it. My God. He's 16-9, and they're 7-4 down.
Yeah, he's definitely carried them through a few rounds, that's for sure. What? Like, just how quickly he was down mid as well, and then it's just running at them. Like, it was almost just like the confidence started flowing through his veins, like the blood pumping, and I don't know, but he was just landing everything that was put in front of him. He even switched away on his gun on Trex and still manages to switch back to the Vandal and find the shot once again. No surprise. It's going to be back to the B site for Vitality here. Katado's in a pretty decent spot, and he's already seen one of them at least.
2 Guardians and a Spectre to play with here for Guild. This isn't the best of times to really be getting up close and personal. Certainly not the best of times to be whiffing the shots, but luckily, Brams has got that memo. He's able to take a double before falling. The B site comes with a heavy cost, and that cost just keeps on stacking up. Leo drops the spike in the open now, and look at that. Trex is being spotted. You know exactly where he is, and with a Spectre, he's trying to close in that distance. Alexander will do it for him. That's all right. You'll take that. Upgraded weapon, 1v2, and even the ulti to play with. So this is kind of scary now, Tom.
Yeah, I think the information he's going to get is probably exactly what he will expect where the spike currently is, but it at least clears out some of these close wraparound angles, so it's not going to be impossible. He does actually have a cage, so he could just try and steal it, but I think he wants to try and even things up a little bit more before he does that, and Wildcat is not going to give him the chance. 7-5. You know what? That's a pretty damn good recovery. Considering the position that Vitality were in, they were losing the B site extremely easily. They had the hero play from Sender come out, and then those sort of closer rounds towards the end. That's a pretty decent half. It still worried me a bit, just the manner in which those 7 rounds were won by Guild.
It is strange as well if you look at certainly the previous round and how Vitality sort of won it with Sender just wrecking them. That's the kind of round that you'd expect from the team that's, you know, 7-3 up, not the one that ended up losing that round. I think that sorry, not the one that was behind coming into that. And I think for Vitality, having that massive boost of confidence, that massive morale boost when somebody takes an ace like that, you're right back in the game. And yeah. Put that in context that they had already just won the first round in a long time. They had that little bit of morale, and then there's the ace. Now coming into this half, despite a pretty terrible 20 minutes of gameplay, they had a bad time. They're now coming in, and they're like, hey, we can win this again. And this pistol could work wonders for that goal.
Oh, yeah. 5 rounds on the defense. I think most teams would take that going into the map. Like, that's pretty decent. Brams as well. This is ready for safe checks. Okay. okay. Just goes up. He's like, all right, I expect you to be there. I know you're going to be waiting, and just gets a free kill.
Leo's seen them. He's going to reveal that, though. The recon giving it away for now. The shock dart on the way, but safe. Keeps on delivering. He's already got 3 and leaving Shadow on just 1 health. The shock dart chases him on the way out the doors, and it is 8 for Guild found. That pistol in flawless fashion as well.
Yeah, that was grotesque from Safe. We haven't seen as explosive moments when it comes to that attacking side, because normally he is just the point of entry, that aggressive dash in and just trying to take space for the team, which worked a lot of the time for them, giving other people the opportunity to find the frags. But, well, in this round, it was all him. And that's exactly what Guild needed, because when you have, like, such a streak of rounds, you're in such a dominant position and something like that slips away, it was exactly the same as we were talking about with Sender's ace. Like, someone takes over, wins you a round, and you're right back in it mentally.
Yeah, that's what it is all about. Now the opportunity to continue snowballing those rounds through. You look at Vitality, they've brought out a Marshall, but so have Guild, and the difference being nobody on Vitality has got shields to work with. These players are squishy. They're easy to deal with in most of these fights for most of the weapons that Guild have to play with, but now they've lost one of them as Kata connects a headshot onto Russ. Giving another weapon over to them. A lot of control and a good amount of space now as they go to the B site. A plant can be found nice and easily. They've cleared it entirely. And forgot that mid exists.
They were just what's going on? They're just giving up all of these kills to mid, and he's gonna go down as well. Did they think they had like a sage wall there or something? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's just completely open. Oh god.
I'm so confused. I've just seen like 3 players just completely oblivious that the only angle they were vulnerable from was mid, and they just
it's sort of like the other day when like Zesh bent over on cam and he looked back and he's like, no, I'm sure no one will do anything to me here, right? That's basically what just happened to Vitality. Like, no one's gonna shoot me from behind, are they?
I mean, I've got a theory. I feel like maybe I'm wrong here, but I think Zesh knew exactly what he was doing. That's all I'm saying.
I bet he gained loads of followers on Twitter.
I bet he did. There's a right click from Safe, dealing massive damage to Kata, but in the end, he makes it away, evening up the numbers for now. Vitality of the rifles to play with. So those 1-to-1 trades, that's exactly what Guild want. Downside being that it was the Blade Storm, but considering he almost got 2 kills with it, he'll take it.
Kata's been tagged low as well, so there are real opportunities. In fact, that's another tag. 2 players on just 24 HP apiece. These Spectres become deadlier by the second, and while the Marshals coming through could kill off any one of these players, so it is starting to get very, very scary. Brams, though, lands a shot onto Trex, and that could be the difference maker. It gives them a little bit of breathing room, a chance to get on the after plant, and while retaking with short-range weapons is never going to be easy, this duel could be everything, though. Shadow is only on 24 HP.
And he's down. Rifle to be retrieved here. Coldamenta now has a good off angle to cover his teammate as they move up. In fact, that wall is great. It's going to lock them in the backside, allow these players to start taking open fights. Brams does such a good job, though. Okay. Saving the round for Vitality. That was really getting dicey, but this man has stepped it up and put 6 on the board. Still, though, Tom, all things considered, not a great round for the attackers.
Yeah, they lose a few players along the way. I guess that's sort of like the minimum you want to be taking into that round. Having a few players left, it's not great, but it's at least enough to go building into the next one. But yeah, this is a real chance for Guild to actually break back, and that would be the shame, because for Vitality, they're in a spot now where they can really build into this half if they manage to win this round. If they lose it, their economy's in the bin, and Guild are going to be getting towards 11 rounds.
It's a scary thought to start this one out. Vitality's attack. Gonna be a little bit of pressure on A, Viper wall there as well, but it's the B site that they look to push on into, now giving that well and truly away. Trex is trying to make it to the left side. Those players have pushed right past his utility by now. How have they still been caught? Why did they not destroy it? They revealed it. I'm so confused. And Trex is able to just sideswipe and take this round.
Oh, that is awful as well, because they suppressed. He got suppressed, so all of his utility disappeared, and then they sort of walked through it and then just sort of carried on without realizing it was still there. That is as bad as it gets, isn't it?
Pretty much is, Tom. I'm not sure about you.
My feed is completely frozen. Yes.
Okay, cool.
If that's what you're about to say.
Yeah. I was right there with you. I was like, I hope there's nothing you want me to talk about right now, Tom, because I can't see it.
Well, if you couldn't tell, when I was talking, there was also nothing on the screen. So I feel like I played it off. I played it off.
No, I'll be honest. Tom. I was panicking. I was pressing all the buttons. I was refreshing everything.
Yep. Control Shift R. We learned that one from the best of them.
Yeah, that we did. I'm just glad it's not me. That's all I'm saying. I thought I had broken something. I thought I was responsible, but it's all good. I'm seeing on my screen. I don't know if we're on cam yet or not. I haven't even got it open. But hello, people. If we are, hi. Yeah, there was a little bit of a tech issue. Obviously, we're going to be jumping back in. We didn't really miss anything. Guild at 10-6. Players are back on my screen at least, so I'm sure it won't be too long until we're jumping right back on in. But exactly as we saw, right? Trex able to take those fights on B. What happened? Tom, like those trapwires that went down, I'm so confused. First of all, they didn't shoot them. Whatever, it's cool, right? Leave them there, whatever. They then walked into them when they were back online. Sender was blissfully unaware of what was going on around him. Well, that gave the kill, allowed Trex to then take the further angle in, drop the spike. Man, that was a disaster.
Well, that's the issue. I like the suppression they used. Like that's the Cypher's worst nightmare. All of his utility goes down in a second. He's the lone defender, but just Trex managing to dodge all of it for so long. I think by that point they were expecting that they would have killed him, and so then you just got all of that utility comes back online, and I feel like it's tunnel vision. Like you're so focused on finding where Trex is and killing him off, so that utility goes down, that you forget that it was even there in the first place. And well. And it has to be said, slip up, but also masterfully played by Trex, because he knows that, okay, I may have lost everything for the second, but I'm going to get it back in a moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I was confused at the opportunity that they left him, but the fact that he still delivered on it is definitely commendable. It was a huge play that propels Guild into the lead. They were already 9-6 up, but as we said, the previous round, one before Trex's big play, Vitality had come up against weaker weapons and had lost most of their players. That now sets them up where coming back into this one, as we can see, they haven't really got anything to work with. 2 rifles, a stinger, and pistols. They're going to have to use their Blade Storm here on Kata, who's already pushed into the B site. And going to look to take that control with the Viper wall they've got down. It looks like it's going to be a pretty clean plant at least. And that will be then a Viper's Pit.
Welcome to my
okay. Well, Mac's just been wrecked. Like, that's the thing. They set up exactly the same way with the utility from Trex, but Trex was not there. So you could see the players basically looking to try and find out where he is this time. And they still haven't got rid of his cam. The players could just look to try and go for wall bangs. A lot of damage has come in onto Brams. Shadow, though, and Brams are going to come up big. A shorty kill, something you never really want to see, but is still happening with Safe, and he's right in the face of another. Brams is just using a stinger in his Viper's Pit, and it's done a lot of damage. Now it's into that 1 versus 1. Sender facing off against Trex, the time ticking down. He's got that defuse halfway through, but the cage is almost leaving. This is a bit of a ruse from the cam, making it clear that he's not on the spike, and Sender has played this one to perfection. There is not enough time for Trex to do anything, and it's going to be another round on the board for Vitality.
7-10. Not a round that I had them pinned as even close to favorites coming into, but you flip the site like that so much. Once you get in, get your Viper's Pit down, those weaker weapons are essentially rifles. But the surprising thing here was Brams. I mean, Safe finding the first kill was solid, but this right here, they walk into each other, and that's the turning point of the round. If Brams wins that fight, it is over and done with, but instead, they end up just about edging out the round and putting it at 10-7.
Is yours frozen again? Oh, I can see the dart flying over. Whee.
All right, let's just watch the dart then. Oh, never mind.
No, bring it back. Bring it back. We need that.
Give us our third person guy. Just fly over the site. It'll work better. There we go. Whoa. All right. We're on the site. And it looks like Vitality are too. They've pushed on past. They've got the same Viper wall down that we'd seen before. And they're going to look to take this B site. Same plan. But this time, Tom, they don't have that Viper's Pit. And that was, as we'd already mentioned, a big turning point of the round previously.
The thing is, though, it's going to come down much more to a full retake. Now, there's only one real weapon weakness, but I'm looking at Guild to try and actually pick some of these players apart. Sender is incredibly well placed, and wow, that's already Russ out on this retake. And that's the one player that was coming in from behind. Now, every single member of this Guild roster is coming in from the same direction. I think they have to back out of this one, and it's looking like both teams are having similar problems. These B-site executions, a lot of teams will opt to try and play retake here, but they just don't seem to have anything to get them actually back into the site afterwards.
Camera taken out.
Trex, there's one at least. No, but he's dropped right afterwards. Operator shot coming out of safe makes this much, much more workable. Sander and Kadavra having to hold on to it, but that time is ticking away, and these weapons looking to just save over inside of the halls, inside of spawn. But Vitality, they were a little bit too slow and hunted them down. Yeah, they went in through mid. They were trying to catch them on those exits, and instead, Guild were able to just sneak their way into the halls, bunker down, carry those weapons through. But impressive attack so far from Vitality. Like, we have to remember, we were almost calling time of death. They were one round essentially away from being done when you're just sitting at this 7-3 scoreline where Guild are looking almost untouchable. And now they're jumping right back into this game. And sure, they gotta, you gotta be realistic even, sorry. And the fact that Guild won the pistol, right? So like, Guild have everything going their way now to start this second half, and yet Vitality are not letting it go.
If they didn't lose a round to a Stinger, this realistically could have been over. Like, that's the real scenario we're looking at right now. That saved Vitality's economy, and well, now we're going to see the null command thrown in towards this A site, a switch up. The spike's still quite far behind, but they're using this just to try and garner a little bit of extra space. And again, it's looking like Guild are almost set to just play this retake. Now, it looks like a buy because of the weapons that they saved, but bear in mind that Trex and Russ still have some pretty weak weapons.
Spike planted.
As his timer ticks on, you got to take the fight eventually. It's not ideal with, like you were saying, those weaker weapons. Use the flashes. Teammates coming out to cover the angles with that operator. Lock down a lot of the ranged ones. Look for the Spectres up close, but Russ and Safe dealt with immediately. One for Trex, but they need more. They need so much more, and now they're starting to find it. With Kata down, but the timer is really the biggest constraint here. And the Hunter's Fury is going to guarantee that, but hold on. That's going to get the kill. Okay, this should be done. 1v1, already halfway to fuse, but Shadow's going to swing out. Hold on, actually, it's going to be close. And he sticks it right under his nose. The timing, only just barely rounding the corner in time. 11-8. Oh, man. That was looking like it was going to be locked in. The time was so low, Tom.
Yeah, the importance of sticking it to half, I guess. Just tanking those initial hits from the Hunter's Fury just to make sure that you get yourself through the rounds. Guild are going to eke one out. Trex at the heart of it once again. He is having a fantastic map. And that's one of the things, like, I think Trex has been one of those players that both of us have talked about for quite a while as someone who should be picked up. Did I think I was going to enjoy him playing a Cypher? Not really. Have I enjoyed it? Definitely.
Can't use that.
I can't really disagree with you on that one. It did seem like a bit of a strange pick. A bit of a strange start to this round as well for Vitality, leaving the spike all the way inside of spawn.
Destroyed.
And talk about a slow round for this attack. I think with the fact that they're looking to push up mid, take these fights the way they are with a Marshal. I'm not really like, I'm looking at this from Guild's perspective, right? You have the operator, it's looking over mid. They don't need to move. They can just sit down on their defaults, hold it out, and this is something that Vitality are hoping that Guild make a mistake, that they overextend, that they overcommit towards fights. But for now, that's not the case. Guild are just chilling.
Patient play. No need to get aggressive, especially when you know your opponent's economy is somewhat on the brink. Want to mentor those in a little bit of trouble here. 49 HP, he's just going to get taken out straight away from back, and while suppressed in the corner, an operator definitely not ideal for this sort of play. So the trade's coming through thick and fast. Again, this B-side for both teams has looked vulnerable. Leo will at least get one back, but it's at the cost of his teammate Russ.
As they start to close in the distance now, looking to avenge Russ. Angles are being watched. There's too many players for Vitality on that backside, and not enough for Guild to really, not enough utility for them to push them out. At this point, Trex is just looking to save. At least you would imagine so. He's fighting a lot. Not going to be able to get out of there.
11 to 9. Again, this is definitely not out of the realms of possibility for Vitality, especially being on that attacker side, and especially with the weakness they've clearly found on that B side. And that's actually been the interesting thing about this matchup, is that most of the time when you look at this map in particular, you're looking at A-site simulator. Like, a lot of teams will just go for the same execution, the drone alongside the Viper wall, pushing in through it, try and find an opening kill, get an after plant, and then have your lineups. Like, that has been something we watched for pretty much the whole of the last season. It has changed drastically in this matchup. Like, everybody just seems to be having so much success like pushing into that B site, having much stronger after plants than we're used to seeing. And well, from a very passive attempt to a very aggressive one coming out from Guild. Only a Blade Storm alongside some pistols this time, so they're going to take a bit of a risk. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to retrieve any form of weaponry, so although it's a man advantage, Vitality is still very much in the driver's seat.
With the B side again looking so tempting. You can just walk right in, and they're starting to peek out on these angles and really experiment with it. Indeed, get very close to destroying that cam. Eventually, that Viper wall does come down. You can see that the temptation has pulled them in. They'll be going for B as Russ falls elsewhere on the map, trying to get aggressive. And looks like that doesn't deter Guild. Safe is going to do exactly the same, starting to move up to the window, or Kata currently is. This is a free kill. Oh, no! Oh, save! He's completely whiffed it! Kata gets away with the freest kill of his life, and now Vitality, well, they are in the driver's seat. They've got the man advantage, and it's only building. That could have been the round for them. What a whiff.
Oh, like, he only had one knife, so yeah, I feel a little sorry for him, but that has gone as wrong as it could have done. And the worst thing is as well, if he just had a classic there, he probably still gets the kill. Like, that's the most infuriating thing. It's just you want that one knife back. You want your knives back overall. And also, it would have given him the rest of his Blade Storm, and then he would have got a free operator as well. So that probably would have changed the round completely. Unfortunate stuff for Safe. I'm sure he's going to want to forget that one nice and quick, as they're now coming back in with the purchase of their own operator into his own hands. But one round is the difference now, Mitch.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Safe and I've got an op right now, I'm not blaming him for pushing up. You want to recover your honor almost from the previous round, right? But Kata's the one picking up the opening. Leo to fall at the hands of this Jet operator. Been wreaking havoc in these last few rounds as Vitality once again set their sights on B. The fact that they've heard that Viper's pit go down does not deter them. They still have a drone to work with as well. Shadow having that online this late into the round could be super useful, but he's about to take a risky fight as they push all the way through holes, and Russ will eliminate him. Now that Viper's pit becomes so much more difficult to handle.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of space around mid because of the amount of players that push. Safe will be watching it, supporting his player from afar, and well, knowing there's at least a couple of players in that direction and the aggressive push from Russ, Vitality have deduced that there must be an opening on this A site.
Yeah, well, they know those players have pushed up through holes. They know there's a Viper's Pit and a second player on B with an op. So are you going to play Viper's Pit and op, or are you going to play two other dudes you kind of know where they are? It's the movement back towards the A site. But it's the problem is, because holes is being taken, look at the rotate from Kata. It's going to take so long. Every corner, every corridor needs to be cleared. And in fact, he's about to run into Russ. No! Russ stepped back and away just as Kata came back into Cave. The question is, does Russ have an idea? And even if he doesn't, he's going to go towards Cave to try and catch these A players. They're about to meet each other, and it's Kata that ends up coming out on top as Russ falls. That is Cave secured, and Vitality, oh, well, with that op kill, they look set to take this round across the line.
That was absolutely everything. Russ looks away for a literal second, and that's enough to give the space to Kata. Now Trex fighting back in. He's found an angle. There's some space into the site, knowing exactly where one of the remainder is now, especially with Kata. He can give the information over to Safe. He's looking to try and peek that with the operator. Rams is still on the site itself, but that is filthy from Kata, who's going to close it out with the ace. Vitality even things up in style. 11-11 going into round 23.
Close game that we end up getting, and you know, Tom, it's funny because you brought up The 9-3 curse, and obviously just in general to make the point of how attack-sided this map is, how it's not uncommon to see a team do incredibly well on the attack side and then flip over and kind of fall flat. And that is exactly what has then happened right here and now. In fact, for Guild, those early rounds, winning the pistol is all that's kept them alive as they come out through this defensive side. And now they need to find a little bit more, and it's on pistols. The problem is, their opponents don't have pistols this time,
well,
so, you know, it can be a little harder.
In the last 6 rounds, the round they won was that defuse in front of Shadow. That's it. And that was with a few pistols in the mix and Trex just managing to defuse it in front of them. So it's basically been 6 rounds in a row because that probably shouldn't have gone the other way. So yeah, Vitality proving that they definitely do have that strong attacking side. I think they've had some decent adaptations here and there. And while this buy stinks from Guild, like I'm looking at a Bucky and I'm really curious what they're gonna do with it.
Need a drop. Thank you.
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of my thoughts when I was looking at those pistols. Why Bucky on this map? Why Bucky full stop? I think is where I would start with that one. But for Coldamenta, more of a question. Bucky solo B. There was no one on this side of the map. There's no one in mid. There's no one anywhere to help him. This man is solely and entirely alone with the Bucky. Luckily, Vitality are going the other way, and they're going right into Safe, who's already taken the first, who's going in for more, and doing a massive amount of damage. A Shock Dart about to go through after that damage was done, and Brams falls. Oh my god! Vitality are running into these pistols, and they're getting obliterated. Another one for Russ, and here comes a flank play. Sure, they've caught Trex, but there's still so many more to deal with.
Well, I will say, Coldamenta has the worst flank weapon of all time, so all he can do is hold them in. He cannot push off of this, but it doesn't matter, because they're landing everything else! It's just a sheriff round coming out from Guild. They needed an absolute miracle to stand any chance. The buy stunk, but somehow they win it anyway. Ludicrous.
I am at a loss for words on that one. How have they come in with pistols? You know the worst part about it? It's the fact that the Bucky lurk, having that solo weapon and holding close inside his orb on B, it was the whole idea of the round. And I hate it. And I love Coldamenta, but I hate him for that idea because it worked so well. You play the Bucky in your orb on B. If they push you within the first 30 seconds, they're dead. If they don't push you in the first 30 seconds, your A players have pushed up. And they're now flanking them. You know, it like, you use your snake bite, slow them, Bucky snake bite, it's already going to be good. Then you have a flank, you've got them crunched in. It's a good gamble for the round that it was, and it worked out perfectly with catching them in A main. I just really hate it.
Well, you can see this time they're making sure that they destroy all of the utility. What? Okay, Leo. That might be the most tags I've ever seen coming out from one blast of a Hunter's Fury, and this is looking done. Look how low these players are. They are in a 3 versus 5. 2 players have 105 HP between them, and Kada is being isolated. It's left all on to Sender on their map choice, the first map of a best of 5, in a decent position, and it has slipped away to some pistols and a ridiculous Hunter's Fury. Can he do anything here to try and turn the tide? The answer is no. Guild are going to take